you those moments where you just feel it, that you just about to let loose on everything.
The fact that this shit is hard and makes you get real with yourself, and it's not easy to get real with yourself, you know?
Welcome to the Rational Growth Experience, where every week we talk about how concepts from personal growth and spirituality come together in our experience of our everyday lives.
Well, shit, man. I mean, today, a little bit of things on my mind. I know we were talking somewhat about this, but at least for me, I was just thinking a little bit about how I was struggling today. Personally, I was just struggling, kind of keeping my head on straight. I know we're kind of in the midst of a historical time right now with all of the um, like lockdown, and we're literally stuck inside. And so right now it's kind of weird, and I don't know if it's just getting to me or what's going on, but today I was definitely just really struggled keeping my head on straight. I could tell I was fighting mental battles. It wasn't as bad as some days, but today in particular, I just noticed I was like, dang, I'm not I'm not as happy as I normally am. So it's like, what's going on there? And yeah, so I
So,
mean, good.
do you feel that this is more because I know that with the midst of the whole pandemic going on right now, do you think that we're in our head right now too much?
Um, Honestly, no. I don't think we're in our head too much. I think this is needed quite quite frankly. I think this is a time where this is I mean, let's put the virus into perspective. Something we can't see is causing us to stay inside.
Yeah,
Like we're literally locked inside as a society. So we can't see it, we can't feel it, we just feel like sick or whatever. And then now there's a lot of people dying. And so, like, not to make it seem like less than it really is, but it's like now it's making people reflect, and we're like, oh shit, it's kind of level the playing field. No one's separate from this invisible thing. So it's like, I think it's a necessary amount of introspection of just what's going on, because I think we live in too fast pace of a society where we just get it's easy to just jump one thing to another, and now we're being forced to literally stop everything. So of
I
course there's
completely agree. I completely agree with that. And the sole reason why is because, like you said, not to make it as little as it is, because it's a big thing. We weren't ready for this virus to go around and infect every single person.
totally.
The misconception was, okay, well, only 60 plus year olds are going to be able to get this. But honestly, everybody can fucking get this. And at the end of the day, if someone really wants to screw us up, it's not going to be from a nuclear war. It's going to be like from a virus from this. So the reason that I ask if this is like we're too much in our head is because I don't believe that the mentality is super fucking, it's crazy to fathom and understand on how it works. I don't believe that a virus can penetrate that. For me, for instance, I always say I'm never gonna get sick, and I don't. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
feel free to chime in, but I just don't feel that something as a virus can get me sick and mess up who I am mentally and
So,
physically.
so you're talking more or less that the virus can't knock you off your game, essentially. Like, I mean, quite technically, we everyone could get the virus. However, you're saying that we're more powerful than we think, and so if we're thinking that we're going to get it, we're probably going to get it. But if we're thinking, no, like it's just like the flu, it's no big deal, a lot of people get it, but I'm not, like, my vibe's too high, I'm good. And it's not like an ignorant thing or ignorance of like, oh no, it's not me. It's more of like a, no, I just kind of know. It's like I'm good. I'm not trying to say that I'm better than it. I'm just saying that I'm not going to get it. And is that what you're kind of saying?
Yes, exactly what I'm trying to say. And I just feel that at the end of the day, um, putting ourselves in this type of perspective is huge. It's absolutely huge. And yeah, no, I mean, we're kind of going off track right now, but going back to what you were kind of talking about with the regards to, um, you were in your head too much. you know, what does that look like, and how did you kind of go back on track?
Yeah, so call me out, tell me I was in my head.
I
Screw
did.
you, man. But no, what that looks like for me, it's one of those things, at least, and I'm sure like you can relate and other people can relate. It's like when I'm in my head, I just, no matter what I'm doing, I'm thinking about whatever is going on up here. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm stressed out, or oh my gosh, I'm really sad, or oh my gosh, like I got this thing coming up, or like, I don't feel very good, or whatever it may be. And instead of, I think for me, what it looks like personally is like, instead of me being like, oh, that's happening, like, well, let's just kind of let it happen and let it go. When I get in my head too much, like what you're saying is, I'll notice it and I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I unhappy, or why am I this? And then I'm kind of like in this like going a million miles around my head trying to figure out like what happened, what knocked me off, blah 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 blah, instead of just kind of like sitting with it and letting it be. And so for me, what, like when I'm in my head, I'll notice I'm off in some way, shape, or form. Today, I think I was just like I was more frustrated that things aren't going the way I'd want them to do, or I was just kind of questioning what's going on right now. And I'm sure the virus kind of has a lot to do with it, in terms of, oh, like this is causing a lot of confusion, like it's changing a lot of things as we know it. And so maybe I was just questioning that, and I was questioning, I'm like, well, what the fuck am I doing? And so I just started going in this thought loop. And then at least how I get out of it is, I notice that it's happening, and I set time aside. So like today, I kind of felt it yesterday, and I knew that I didn't work today. So that was kind of perfect timing in terms of how it all worked out. But so I was like, okay, if I'm having these thoughts of like, what the fuck am I doing? And like, what's going on? There's two things I can do. I can only control so much of what's going on. And by that, I mean the way I think and feel, and maybe the situation I'm in. So like for me, I could tell you I was stressing a little bit about like stepping away from the guys, and now I'm over here like doing my own thing, and I'm like, what the fuck is my thing? I don't even fully know yet. And so I was just kind of like, what am I doing? It was in the middle of, after like spending the whole day, I was just taking a break and playing video games, quite honestly. And I'm like, what am I doing? I was like, I could be doing so much stuff right now. And I started panicking like a little bit. I'm like, what the fuck? And I was like, okay, I'm going to need to change something here. I was like, I need to get up earlier, blah, blah, blah. And I started going through all this jazz in my head of things I need to be doing. And so I was like, what can I be doing? Which is, well, I could probably get up earlier, get my days started off better, because I haven't been the best at that. Like once I get up, I'm good at getting, like, I might have my order of things I do, but getting that time a little bit sooner in the day would be nice. And so once I had that thought yesterday, I was like, okay, well, I have tomorrow off, or today. I have today off. Let's take a day to just like reset, do the things I know I need to be doing. Like take an hour to sit down and meditate. Let's take some time to go out and read. Let's take a time to just chill, like stop running around and trying to do a bunch of things and deflecting, and just like take a moment to be here. And I know that's like kind of just relevant to me, is like I tend to get, like when you said, like I tend to get in my head, I start looking for a ton of different things to do. And I've been noticing that I do that a lot more than I thought I did. And so today I just took the day to kind of chill. So like I woke up, I did my morning movement, like my little like getting into my body yoga movement stuff. And then I did the 40-day program that I'm doing. And then and just took some time to sit in silence and kind of be with me, like not thinking or planning or anything, just kind of being here. So just taking a minute to bring myself back to the present moment. And then I finally meditated for 40 minutes, 40.
Nice.
And then I went and had breakfast, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to go read and hang out outside, because I mean, being locked down inside all day, I was like, I need to see the sun. And so went and did that. And then I went and did a little Instacart thing, a quick little Instacart run. And then I worked out with my brother and sister, and then got dinner ready, and now I'm here. So,
man.
I guess,
go ahead, bro. No, so I was just gonna say that there was something that you really kind of resonated, is that you said that you left away or stepped away from the guys, and you're trying to find your thing, right? How's that going? And what steps are you taking to get to that point? Because from my side, I mean, like when I started real estate, for instance, it was one of those things where I just didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I just stepped into a field where it was ambiguous, and I was honestly terrified. I didn't know how it was going to turn out, and have been instances of growth, emotional roller coaster, and the whole nine. So tell me about that, and just like what does that look like when you're starting something fresh that one path ended and the other path is going to get started. What does that
Yeah.
look like?
It's a good question. I'm still learning, but because yeah, I guess like what you're saying, like it's true. Like this is kind of the first time, like not to say the stuff I did before wasn't something I wanted. I think it was just safer because I was doing it with other people, and so it
Mm-hmm.
was easier for me to just go with it because I was like, oh, this isn't like this is something I want to do, but it's not like my full thing. And
Right.
so like I don't know, to me it was a little bit scarier because I didn't even know fully what my thing is, and I just knew that what I was in kind of wasn't it, and I really wanted it to be because they're like those guys mean the world to me, and it was really hard having to step away from that. But I mean, I guess I'm learning, I guess, in terms of my process, that it's been a month since that decision was made. I guess my process started with, okay, what are things that I need to do right now? Or like, what is something I need? I learned a lot about myself while I was traveling for that past month. And so what do I need right now? And I was like, I need a sense of security. I was like, I don't have any right now. I was like, I have a family that loves me and I've been very fortunate to have like them support me through a lot of this, but I'm like, I need some financial security first. And I was like, okay, what do I need to do for that? And so I kind of just got honest with myself. I was like, what do my finances look like? And I was like,
Yeah.
that's probably contributing a little bit to why I needed to leave, like needing more finances, because I just needed that for myself. And so I was like, okay, got honest with myself, mapped it out legit, just wrote all the debt I owe, like individually, like to the cent, how much I owe. I was like, I know I want to get that fixed. So what do
Mm-hmm.
I need to do? I probably need to see how bad it is. And so,
Right.
so I just got clarity. That was kind of the first step was, okay, I know I need security. Okay. What's security to me? Financial right now is the biggest one that's biting me or that's bugging me. So what do I need to do that? Okay. I have I have roughly this amount of debt. I need to come up with a minimum of this amount a month. So what does that mean? Okay, once I did that, it gave me a little bit more clarity of like, okay, what am I looking for? Like, what can I do job wise to get me that? I'm like, okay, well, there's obviously the virus, so this made things a little bit more complicated of things I could and couldn't do. But I was like, what can I do? I was like, real estate, I still have deals in the pipeline, so I'll work those until I can. But outside of that, I was like, I need money right now. I was like, I cannot wait for these deals to go through. I need it right now. So I just
Right.
looked at any job, literally any job, and ultimately landed on moving because it was pretty flexible and not bad pay. And then picked up Instacart, that app, um, and it was super flexible because I was like, I know I need money. I need time for me to give myself a chance to just chill, because I know it took me a month being gone, just focusing inward, for me to realize, oh shit, I'm not in the space that I want to be in. So I was
Right.
like, okay, I need a job that gives me flexibility to take time for myself to get clarity, to check in with
Mm.
me, like what's going on? What do you need? And I think that's, so for me, it wound up turning into a moving gig that I literally get a text the day before of if I'm in or out, if I want to work. So I never
Oh.
know. And then Instacart is really just whenever I want to do it. So it's been really cool, kind of a blessing in disguise in terms of my process of that's what I do. to make money, because I learned, okay, I need to make roughly $500 in minimum payments a month, but I need more than that to start paying down stuff. So I was like, okay, what do I really need? Oh, maybe $2,000 a month, which really isn't much at all, you know? And so that's why I picked up these two jobs, and that's kind of what's working out for me now, at least until all the real estate deals go through. And then, so that was the first step. I was like, what do I need immediately? And I was like, financial security. So I did that when found a job. So I did that. And then I was like, okay, I have a lot of time while I'm still searching for a job. What else do I need? I was like, well, and it's more of it was less of what I needed. It's like, what do I want? Because at that point, I knew I didn't want what I had with the guys, but I didn't know what I truly wanted. I was like, I had some ideas. So I just started throwing thoughts on paper. I'm like, okay, if I was like, I want to teach yoga privately or meditations. I'd like to travel around and do that. I was like, what would that look like? Still don't fully know what that looks like, but I was throwing out the possibility of that. And I was like, okay, what would I need if I were to do that? Okay, I'd probably need, if I were to travel around and teach this to people, I would probably need to start small, teaching like friends and family, and then also documenting it and making sure other people know what I'm doing. So that way it's more apparent to everyone else. And I was like, okay, if I can do that, I can build a following, and then I could leverage that following to travel to, say, like back out to Bali, and then go to different meditation / yoga centers and be like, hey, look, I teach this privately on the side. I've gained XYZ followers. I have XYZ clients, blah, 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 blah. Then I was like, okay, so the next step was longer term. What do I need? And so, or what can I do right now? And so for me, what can I do right now is flesh out some content ideas. As like, I know I've done so much research and so much meditation and so many themes. And I'm like, okay, how would I teach it though? Which I've kind of started accumulating how I would teach it just by talking about it to people. And so that was one idea I threw out. And then I was like, okay, what if that doesn't make me enough money? I was like, this pandemic threw me into well, what if I can't do this? Then how am I going to make money if I'm doing that? And so I was like, okay, I need to do something that I can make money remotely. I don't have to rely on someone else or a physical in-person store. So I started looking at other stuff. Like, what do I want to do? I was like, what can I do on Wi-Fi only, and that can generate revenue where I don't run the risk of having to close down because of an unforeseen virus that is going on. All this. And so that's when I just started. I was like, well, what are some things that I've been curious about for a while? I was like, well, I've always wondered about e-commerce. What does that look like? I was like, that's something I could literally do from my laptop anywhere in the world. I was like, well, I could also create online programs of meditation and stuff to sell. Like, what does that look like? And so it was really just taking a lot of time to just ask myself, what the fuck do I want? And I think that was the first part, was being okay. Because the first part was really being okay that I just left something that was really good, you know, because I just somehow knew it wasn't, I guess, the thing for me. And I still don't fully know what the thing for me is, but I gave myself the chance to at least say, okay, why don't I ask myself the question? So I'm still learning as it's going along, and it's kind of unfolding as it's happening. But oh my gosh, it's been.
No, kudos to you, man. Kudos to you, because you were able to basically uncover that, right, from just what you want to do at this point. And kudos to you, because especially with everything that's going on. So my follow-up question with that is just like, how do you build that sense of clarity, like, on what you want to do? And that is difficult to comprehend, or just to answer, just because how the fuck do you know what you want to do, right? Like, how do you know?
I mean, we're going to talk for a really long time if we go down here, because there's a lot of things at play here. But the simple answer for me is I just tried a bunch of different things and realized it wasn't what I wanted.
Okay.
I mean, that's the simple answer, but in terms of knowing what I wanted and realizing that's a whole nother, maybe the next podcast of talking about how to really uncover that, because that's like
how
you're
to build
getting
that
into
clarity.
more of like a longer timeline of having to self-assess to understand that.
And sorry to cut you off, but we don't know where this direction for this podcast is really going to be going. We are just communicating and showing you our experiences and what we have been learning and how we can kind of represent that to one another, right? So back to that conversation, yes, we're definitely going to save that for another conversation because I feel building that clarity or understanding that clarity is going to be so interesting because I would say that I'm still in the same boat. I don't understand what I fully want to do. I don't know on what career path or what makes me super happy that I want to be doing it. Like this makes me happy, but the financial is never there. So there's always those factors that has to play in to create
Totally.
that, you know. Um,
Creates the whole
but
rational part of the rational growth experience.
exactly. Oh, yes. I love that. Yes. Yeah. And I so love that. But no, yeah, I mean it's very difficult to understand really what you want to do. And like you said, just going and seeing what sticks to the wall and continuing on forth is something that, you know, that's a way to learn. That's a way to learn on what you
Totally.
want to do. Yeah.
And I think it's just it's a more solidified way of learning. At least in my experience, it's more of
Mhm.
like it's just been purely trial and error. And I think there's been so much like societal growth in terms of lessening the like pain point of trial and error, because the trial and error part is there's error and error sucks when it happens.
Right.
And so, but I think if I think about it, like really everything that you do is trial and error, and it's like you cannot avoid the trial and error part. You're like even if you're being mentored, it's like you
Mhm.
still have to try the thing the mentor is telling you to do, even though he's gone through it and he's gone through whatever he's teaching you and he knows how to avoid the pain points, but you still got to do it, and you're probably going to fail even though he's telling you all the things to avoid to help you less fail. But that's the sucky part, is the fail. But
Right.
I think there's so much more value in the fail, because when you do, you've had that personal experience for yourself. You're like, oh,
Mhm.
I now know and I've experienced it firsthand that this is not how to do it. And so I think that's why I mean, shit, I'm still trial and erroring. I think anyone that says they're not is full of shit. Like,
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
it's all trial and error, man. Like
It
even the
really
masters
is.
are trial and error and some shit.
Well, that's how you build up that experience is by all the failures. And then you look back and are able to, I guess, in some way teach that to someone else. Like, okay, I've been through that. Yeah, no, it is all trial and error. That's where that cause and effect comes into play. Um, but wow, yeah, no, wow, that journey is going to be very interesting from where you are right now. And once you build that sense of clarity, to say a couple months from now, I'm sure that we're going to be able to witness that complete difference.
Totally.
Um, so we'll jump into that. Me personally, from I guess being in some sense conditioned to the way that I was raised up, um, I've always been in this shell. This shell I have never been able to get out of. When you guys first met me, I was always very conservative of the way that I present myself,
Hmm.
the way that I kind of talk, and I've never been able to break that shell for whatever reason, whatever they may be. There might be some underlying deep rooted condition. And honestly, I just don't see why that is still there because I have all these tools to be able to break out of that, right? And what I've been trialing and erroring is just putting myself in those predicaments. Like for this is something that is trial and error for me. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and it's going to be interesting on how this will sooner or later pick up. So, for instance, this right now is a trial and error. Um, I don't know where this is going to go, but where it does, I'm excited for it, and I'm in here for the long run.